All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, so on and so forth, title forever in the works. I'm going to go ahead and sponsor this particular one because of reasons, basically, whatnot, just in case this goes south. Okay, so up to this particular point, right, you should have seen a snippet or a clip from a stream that I did. It's probably been 2 weeks at the time you guys are going to hear this, and because I don't think I streamed last week. But I had basically a segment that it's a segment from one of my streams where I was talking about blip.tv, right? And I had heard DSP say something along the lines that he was shopping his content out to other gaming outlets, or even other channels who had other channels that were kind of within a network, not necessarily an MCN, but like that guy with the glasses type situation, right? And he was doing this right after he got demonetized on YouTube, or after he got kicked out of Google AdSense, and he was running over there the blip. And like I said, we were talking about blip.tv. I found this one video that I should have played before, and that's what ended up basically kind of sparking this idea. And it made me call into question a couple of things, actually. One, what were some of these channels that he was talking to? IGN, I think Logan K, big ups to him, had said maybe ScrewAttack, and it made me call into question the whole blip.tv situation, not the blip.tv situation, but Blistered Thumbs in particular, right? Now, if you guys know the mythos, supposedly when DSP ended up getting kicked off of Blip, he was in talk with Blistered Thumbs joining that show and that, that little mini conglomerate, and he would be posting content over there as well as his own content. But now that he got kicked off Blip, that never happened. Well, yet again, he had said that he was shopping his content out to other people to see if he could try to sell the show, right? Or whatever show he was talking about, one of his gaming rants or whatever that bullshit was. And it made me call into question, was he really contacted by Blistered Thumbs? Or will that guy with the glasses / Blistered Thumbs to actually join that network? Or was he trying to shop his show off to them? So he was trying to join them, basically. He was trying to pay to get on there. It made me call into question, man, maybe he was lying about that shit. Maybe he was trying to see if he could get over there and see if they had a spot for him. They didn't actually approach him about it. Because, DSP is approached by everybody. He doesn't ever do anything himself, except for that segment that he talked about. So what we're doing today is we're going to go over 2 segments, and then I'm going to bring up a DSP Tries a Memology 101 video, and we're going to go over some of this DSP's history as it pertains to some of this shit. So to give you guys basically a quick synopsis, we're going to check out 2 videos while he's in the transition to go over there to Blip and trying to get himself re-established after the whole debacle with Google AdSense. Then our last video will be DSP talking about how he was inspired by the Angry Video Game Nerd and Nostalgia Critic, but then he throws ScrewAttack in there. So I've got like 3 reasons for wanting to do this. One, to see if we can try to figure out some of the places that he was actually trying to shop himself out to after he got kicked out from Google AdSense. 2, I want to kind of show you guys the parasocial one-sided relationship that DSP had with Stuttering Craig and ScrewAttack, which may very well explain, or one of the reasons that explains his hatred and anger against Stuttering Craig now. And I mean, besides the interview, right? It's almost like DSP was already fuming about this nonsense long before the interview happened. He already had way too much banking on this. And now I'm hoping some of this older stuff that I'm going to show you actually kind of proves that, or at least establishes the roadblocks. And then 3, and most importantly, to get a good laugh at him for all the people who he may have tried to, send his content to, and none of them ever reached out to him. Because if you remember, when DSP ends up getting onto Machinima, I think he was doing this before he was on Machinima, right? But when he got onto Machinima, he was saying, hey, like, participate, share, do all this bullshit. There's plenty of times where he used to ask people, hey, send this video to, IGN, or send it to this gaming publisher over here, and let's see if I can build more traction for myself, or for himself, right? But now come to find out, he may have tried to do all of that himself and it never happened. No one ever reached back. So what I'm trying to say is, as it pertains to Stuttering Craig, he may have already had growing resentment going into that, into the interview, going into maybe being on Side Scrollers as a guest speaker. You know what I'm saying? And it might make sense, or this might help establish why, even after the interview happened, he still was saying, oh, it's a good interview. He was still willing to stand by it, if you will, until he finally came to the realization, I'm not going to be able to do anything with them. I lied to them for 5 straight hours. They never believed me. They never had a reason to believe him. And that's when he waged this one-side war or campaign against fucking Stuttering Craig. Silly shit. But anyway, but that's kind of what the whole point of all this is. So without further ado, I won't go ahead and hold you guys up any longer. Let me go ahead and get you guys strapped in on this. So let's see here. Okay. Now, this isn't the whole video. I'll leave the link to both of these videos, well, all 3 actually, even the memology one. I'll leave them down in the description. These are from King of Hate Vlogs HD. I'm pretty sure I have someone else that it's a Derailing loves something. I'll link their rendition of this down in the description so you can check it out. But they're going to be 2 snidbits. Let's see here. This is from... Okay, the video in question, I should say. It's titled Important Bad News Plan B in Effect. Watch. This is from December 11th of 2010. The follow-up, or it's December 11th, I'm sorry, 2010. The second video will be the full story on Blip TV and what happened, right? And plans moving forward. That's from December 13th. Like I said, we're not going through the whole video. I've already cut out what I wanted you guys to see, so we can kind of streamline what I'm really interested in showing you. All right, without further ado, here we go.
I don't want to give up on this because I've done it for 2.5 months. It's worked really well. I think everyone is so happy. The website's doing really well, thekingofhate.com, and I don't want to just throw in the towel and say, oh, well, that was it, the one chance it's over. Because it's not. There's other opportunities out there. I have, just so everyone knows, I have contacted a couple different places. Ones that have been recommended to me. I'm not going to mention them in this video, but there's a couple places. One place that actually, it's a website I followed for several years. I've mentioned it several times. I really like the people on that site.
Now, big ups to Logan K yet again, because I think this is, he thinks this is ScrewAttack, this particular one here. And he may very well be right, to be honest. He may very well be right. But another one may very well be Blistered Thumbs. Blistered Thumbs and that guy with the glasses never were like, oh, Darkside Phil's over here, let's go and see if he wants to join us. No. DSP went out begging them for a job in the same way as he tried to beg Hutch for a job. In the same way that he, theoretically, you could say he tried to beg Stuttering Craig and ScrewAttack for a job. You know what I'm saying? Because he's thinking about, remember, this is 2010. If you think about it, he went to his first ScrewAttack event he went to was like in 2007. And DSP swore that he had such a good rapport with them and him and Craig were best friends and buddies and all this bullshit and so on and so forth. Don't worry, that'll come later. So keep all of this in mind. And like I said, I'm pretty sure IGN was in there. There's a bunch of gaming channels as well as gaming publishing publications at that time he probably tried to reach out to. Like I said, as far as I know, he wasn't featured in any of them. But like I said, the way DSP does anything is the way he does everything. So I'm not surprised whether it was ScrewAttack, whether it was Blistered Thumbs, whether it was IGN, whatever. I'm not surprised that he went begging for a job. I'm not surprised by that at all. I'm just surprised it took me this long to find it.
I'm wondering what the terms and conditions and what kind of a deal it is to get signed on that website. I've contacted them. We'll see what happens. And also, another channel here on YouTube I have contacted, and I'm waiting to hear back to see what the deal is with them. But they were very interested last month, but I was so busy with game playthroughs. As you remember, last month was insane because it was gaming season, so many games coming out that I was just doing non-stop playthroughs. I didn't have time to set up a meeting with these guys. Now it's calmed down. Now I'll have time to talk to them. So
that's crazy. So this idiot, this mongoloid, had a chance to go into business with someone else and whatnot, and decided to completely avoid that because he wanted to grind out games. Now he's desperate, so now all of a sudden he's on his time now. He's on his clock. So now he's like, yeah, now I'm gonna see if I can get you guys to give me a job, or maybe we can do a collab. What, it wasn't, if it wasn't worth it a month ago, why would it be worth something now? Oh, because you're desperate. You see what I'm saying? Like, DSP is the king of fucking missed opportunities, which is crazy that anybody would want to give this piece of shit any opportunities in the first place, because he clearly don't appreciate it until he needs it. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. Let me bring that part back.
And also, another channel here on YouTube, I have content.
Actually, sorry, let me go back a little further.
I'm not going to mention them in this video, but
sorry.
Well, TheKingOfHate.com, and I don't want to just throw in the towel and say, oh, well, that was it, the one chance, it's over. Because it's not. There's other opportunities out there.
Let me comment on that. That's another thing about him, too. He swears that any opportunity that's given to him, it'll always be presented to him. It'll always be there. If you show an interest in him even once, 2 or 3 years later, when he comes around and he's interested, he expects it to still be there. Nobody waits on anything. Life doesn't do that, let alone anything else. And this goes back to DSP's perpetual time wasting, right? Or how he likes wasting other people's time, like habitually. He loves wasting other people's time. And he doesn't look at it as, oh, well, I missed the opportunity, because the opportunity should have always been there for me. If they offered this to me in January, it should be there January 2 years later, because clearly you saw some interest in me. And people don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, opportunities don't work like that. But whatever.
I have, just so everyone knows, I have contacted a couple different places, ones that have been recommended to me. I'm not going to mention them in this video, but there's a couple places. One place that actually, it's a website I followed for several years. I've mentioned it several times. I really like the people on that site. I'm wondering what the terms and conditions and what kind of a deal it is to get signed on that website. I've contacted them. We'll see what happens. And also, another channel here on YouTube I have contacted, and I'm waiting to hear back to see what the deal is with them. But they were very interested last month, but I was so busy with game playthroughs. As you remember, last month was insane because it was gaming season, so many games coming out, that I was just doing non-stop playthroughs. I didn't have time to set up a meeting with these guys. Now it's calmed down. Now I'll have time to talk to them. So waiting to hear back from them as well. So that's it. I think, honestly, I think the road to success here is going to be a combination of things. It's going to be getting everyone who supports me to head over to Blit TV and watch the hell out of my series that I put on there, okay? And number two, me maybe combining that with either getting signed by someone or getting sponsored by someone. Or
whoa, wait. I thought we don't do sponsorships and endorsements. I thought we never sold out until we have to and whatnot. And peep game on this, because I think I left this part in for a reason. Peep game on this, on like how he feels about his audience when he can't get all the fucking monkeys in the cage to move in the exact same direction, even though he don't have no bananas to give any of them anyway. Comes in and get them if you want to know the truth about it.
Something like that. And trust me, I'm not going to sit on my ass here and just wait for things to happen. I'm going to be busting my ass to try to make stuff happen. And that's the only way in life that you can make stuff work. So.
Wow, what happened to that mentality now? What's this, 16 years later? And where's that mentality at? Oh, it was never there. Okay, gotcha. I answered my own question.
It is what it is. Like I said, in all honesty, you always have that feeling in the back of your head that something like this is going to happen, especially when it's like, oh, it's too good to be true. I can't believe that I'm going to be able to do something that I love for my job. You know what I mean?
But I thought you were never going to turn this into a job. I thought this was just something you fell into. Uh-oh, it's almost like looks like we've been lying. Like, I mean, most of y'all know he's been lying. This was always going to be his end game. I personally feel he was always looking to do this for a living and whatnot if he could. He was just hoping that Daddy and the helicopter company would stay in position long enough to where he could get the ball rolling. Because remember, he couldn't make money off gameplay. It all had to be vlogs until gaming became a thing. And then obviously there was his first tender on, no pun intended, his first tender on Machinima, but he don't want to sit there and edit a fucking basically a clip into the beginning of it or whatever. So he wanted to take his ball and go home. Then he ends up losing Google AdSense. Then he ends up going to fucking Blip. He ends up fucking that shit up in about a month and a half. Then we have to go back to Hutch to beg for a job. Just wild shit, bro. This is wild shit. But the point being is his end game was always doing this for a living. Always. It was always going to be that way. It's the reason why he flooded the system the way he did. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to basically squeeze everybody else out. And he was hoping that, you know, because, you know, DSP likes to talk about his hard work, his 16 years, 18 years breaking his back, whatever the fuck. He wanted this shit to basically be his legacy. And he thought he would always be able to eat off of it.
And how many people get to do that? And so it's always been a feeling in the back of my head, something's going to happen, the bubble's going to burst.
Which is actually ironic in a lot of ways, because he still wasn't nearly as successful as the people who came after him, if you think about it. Like, he looks at it as, oh, I've been here for 16 to 18 years, that proves I'm successful. No, it don't. You just showed up. That doesn't mean anything in the long and short. Like, yes, DSP has made, I would say by the current day and age, he's probably made like $3.5–4 million doing this. And that's probably me lowballing it, to be honest. But he's definitely in the $3 million range, 3 million plus, that he's made in all of his years doing this. That ain't shit when you think about guys in the Call of Duty community back in like 2012 to like 2016 or 17, like the real glory days before like Modern Warfare 2019 came out and Warzone was introduced, basically, and that really became the gold rush for that. And those guys still beat them. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are guys who are making, about 100,000 a week with the combination of streaming and what they were putting on videos on YouTube and shit. Keep in mind, a lot of those guys around 2019 were multi-streaming. They were streaming on YouTube and Twitch. You know what I'm saying? So just to give you guys an example, the few that were capable of doing it, I should say, in some way, shape, or form. Actually, maybe not even 2019. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 2019 is correct. A lot of them were on Twitch, but there were a few people who were doing both, or they were doing like Facebook, whatever, or they were doing Facebook gaming and Twitch. You know what I mean? There was people multi-streaming even back then, and he still didn't reach the levels of success or make the type of money that he did, or that they did. Of course, they actually grinded at it. He literally was a sloth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a gouty, piggy sloth, and he was able to get this far. It's wild stuff.
Per se.
He would actually be commended if he wasn't such a piece of shit. If he wasn't a piece of garbage, people would actually respect him for it.
I just wish that it didn't burst so early. And that now I'm kind of like, okay.
Uh-oh, May 1st burst? Maybe I should put this out on May 1st. Oh, let's hear that again.
That it didn't burst.
Oh, I want you to hear how heartbroken he is when he says that shit.
Happen, especially when it's like, oh, it's too good to be true. I can't believe that I'm going to be able to do something that I love for my job. You know what I mean? And how many people get to do that? And so it's always been a feeling in the back of my head, something's going to happen, the bubble's going to burst, per se. I just wish that it didn't burst so early. And that now I'm kind of like, okay, you know, what's plan B?
Look how hurt he sounds, bruh. You hear how hurt he sounded in that shit? And I don't think that's fake. I don't think he lied. I think he really meant that shit. I think he thought he saw all the success and he was going to rub that shit into the FGC's face like, and all this shit. And he thought his ego was going to be satiated, if you will. And that shit just got taken up from under him because he didn't respect it and he didn't take care of it. He literally did this. It was a self-inflicted wound that he did to himself. And he's really hurt that it's all disappearing and shit. That's wild, bro.
It is. Like I said, in all honesty, you always have that feeling in the back of your head that something like this is going to happen, especially when it's like, oh, it's too good to be true. I can't believe that I'm going to be able to do something that I love for my job. You know what I mean? And how many people get to do that? And so it's always been a feeling in the back of my head, something's going to happen, the bubble's going to burst, per se. I just wish that it didn't burst so early. And that now I'm kind of like, okay, you know, what's plan B? But it is what it is, and, you know, companies are going to do what they want to do regardless of what season it is, and that's that. That's the problem with corporate.
So what? So because it was the holiday season and you were caught trying to game the system and shit, con the system, basically. They should have held mercy on you because it was the holidays? Eat a dick.
In America today, they don't give a fuck about anyone. They only care about their bottom line.
You broke the rules. You literally broke TOS. All right, whatever. Like, it's probably, I guess that's part of his little pignosis guilt tripping bullshit. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's the sad truth about everything. So, all right, that's it for now.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Fucking sick little person. All right, second video. Let's see here. Same guy, Derek Loves. I don't have the rest of it here, but I'll link it down in the description. Big ups to them. And let's see here. The full story on Blip.tv and what happened. Plans for the future. This is from December 13th of 2010. Like I said, I'll leave the link to all this stuff down in the description. Here we go.
Once, you know, it's been some time past, I'll upload the full quality versions to YouTube. So, you know.
Oh, let me give you context because I cut out a lot of this bullshit. So remember how DSP was saying in the first video that he was trying to figure out a way to get people to go over to Blip.tv? Basically what he was doing is he would record content, put it on Blip, let it sit there for, let's say, I'm paraphrasing here, but let's say the first like 24 to 72 hours. Then he would bring it to YouTube. The buy-in of this was basically watch it on Blip, see it at the higher quality, and see it first and whatnot, compared to when he puts it on YouTube, it's going to be put at whatever fidelity that he can upload it at. That's what he thought was the buy-in. And you're going to hear him talk real greasy about people who aren't willing to do so. I thought it was going to be in the first video, but I'm pretty sure it's in this one. It don't matter. He's a greasy scumbag in either one, so it doesn't really matter either which way. But peep the game on this bullshit.
People that absolutely are 100,000,000% against Blip TV and don't give a shit about supporting me, which I know there's people out there. I mean, let's face it. Even though I've been giving you free stuff for 2.5 years, there are people out there who are still, they just take, and don't give a shit. Whatever, I understand. That's the world. That's how some people are. You can still see all my stuff on YouTube. You're just going to have to wait a couple days. Everyone who wants to go over to Blip TV and help me out, you'll be able to see this stuff first. So there's an incentive to go to Blip TV because you get to see this stuff first. Then, in a couple days, you get to see the HD versions here on YouTube. Now, by no means whatsoever am I doing this with every single video, okay? The videos that I'll be doing this with for now are the top 10 series for the rest of the year, and also any of the series that I created.
Now, hypothetically, right? Because I may have mixed up whether it's going to be higher quality on Blip compared to YouTube or vice versa. Let's say, for Devil Snort's sake, let's say that it's going to be higher quality on YouTube. Then why not just wait until it comes out there? Who gives a fuck about seeing it first? If the quality isn't good there, then why would I want to buy into that? I can just wait and just do it over here. That's like, for example, like I multi-stream, right? Like most detractors do. If my quality isn't very good on Twitch, then why would you, then, you know what I'm saying? You'll just watch me on YouTube if you choose to watch me. You'll just watch me on YouTube then. So it depends. I'm pretty sure that he said that he was getting higher quality, or he was getting HD quality on Blip. I'm pretty sure that was in the actual Blip video when he got fired. He had said that. He said they had upgraded him to HD quality for free. Which, now I think about it, I'm calling that in the question too. I don't think that's actually the case. I think he had to pay for that. And he just did it. He just said that to make it seem like they're trying to ingratiate themselves to him, just like all these other companies supposedly do, to make him feel more important. I'm willing to call that in the question as well.
Here on the King of Hate HD. So, for example, DSP Tries It, The Hateful Truth, Ask the King, Smart Guys, King's Verdict, Cooking with the King. And by the way, there is a new episode of Cooking with the King up that has not been uploaded to YouTube. About 9,000 people have checked it out, but that's surprising because usually on YouTube I get 30 to 40,000. I get the feeling a lot of people either don't know or don't like Blip TV and just don't want to go over there. Well, that's the only way you're going to be able to see those videos. What I will be doing is when I put new videos up on Blip TV that used to be on the King of Hate HD, I'll be putting an update video here on the King of Hate HD so that you know what's going on, and I'll have the links there so that you can just jump over and see the videos. So that's how I'm going to do it for now. And I want to kind of do this as a demo run. I want to see if I do this, say, till the end of 2010 and maybe the first month of 2011, you know, what the potential is there. And if there's enough potential to basically make a living doing it like that, then we're good and dandy, and I'll let everyone know. Now, by no means is this the only thing I'm doing. Like I've said in a previous video, but again, I just want to summarize everything into this one.
Yeah, we just saw that video.
I have looked into doing a couple other things. I've contacted a couple websites. I've also contacted a couple other channels here on YouTube to see if they would like to maybe do an agreement where I can give them some things. For example, maybe I give them The Hateful Truth as a show that I do twice a month, and that way I'll put more production value into it, and it'll be a lot better show.
With what money? When basically, with what money? Like, you're basically going to them and say, hey, are you willing to buy my product? And if you do buy it, eventually I'll be able to make, I'll be able to raise the quality of it later on down the line. But we know that's not true. The way he was basically recording everything back in 2008 is what he was doing until he went into direct capture. So you were going to need, how much of a cash infusion, let's say it that way, how much of a cash infusion did you think was going to be injected into you to raise the quality of what you were doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can kind of already smell the scam, you know what I'm saying, early on. And it makes sense why no one bid on it. And yet again, that makes me call into question the blistered thumbs thing. It makes me think, you know what? I think Craig was like, or ScrewAttack in general were like, yeah, we don't really need to be getting in bed with him like that. I don't think that's a thing. But I do think that DSP held on to that animosity. I honestly think he held on to that animosity about that shit. And just like how he said he was inspired by the Nostalgia Critic and the Angry Video Game Nerd, I think he looked at what Stuttering Craig was doing and some of those guys over there, and he's like, I can do that. I can do that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that was always in mind. But like I said, we'll see that in our next video. Well, the video that follows this, I'll show you what I mean.
And they can run it on their stuff, and maybe I get some money for that, a contractual agreement or something like that. We're going to see what happens. I haven't heard back.
Now, that's kind of weird, too, because remember how DSP likes to talk shit about Kino Casino with their clip channel recently going down and their editor basically getting fucked, which is crazy because supposedly the editor has 5 kids, and he was making a good 6-figure income from just clipping Kino Casino. It was a symbiotic relationship. And Jeremy ain't fucked that shit up. So now Quarter Pounder has to worry about that bullshit that, hey, you didn't even hit the right target. You ain't hit an innocent person trying to just, take care of his family. You ain't fucked him over on that bullshit. And so now Jeremy has to eat that bullshit as well as everything else. Anyway, it's funny how DSP had brought up how, Kino Casino's doing this and they're not supposed to have a channel. Neither one of them, Andy or PvP, there's nothing saying that they couldn't have a channel. They both have one. You know what I'm saying? Andy just got his channel banned again or whatever, even though he had it unbanned 6 months ago. So he was legally allowed to have a channel. PvP's original channel is still up, as well as the channel that he usually promotes shit on is up. So what are you talking about? And then we also bring up, or DSP brought up, the whole thing with Keemstar. How, I'm sure now he can, but for a number of years, Keemstar couldn't legally own a channel because his original channels got banned. So he basically created a channel, put it under someone else's ownership. He put the content on there, and he still got the money. And DSP was like, well, I don't know what you guys think about that. But theoretically, if you want to call that shit ban evading or whatever, he was trying to do the same thing. He's trying to get money on YouTube through another channel while he tries to fix everything on Blip. You know what I'm saying? And theoretically, even though he wasn't banned on YouTube, he was just demonetized. Or his AdSense was taken away, I should say. Which is the reason why he needed Machinima so damn bad. And that's the reason why, I guess, he never reapplied for his Google AdSense after being on Machinima for a couple years. He could have gone through them to be like, hey, can you guys help me get my original Google AdSense back? And I'm sure they would have done it. But semantics.
Yeah, but it's been 2 days and it was the weekend, so no big deal there.
Or he didn't want anybody on, I've been thinking about this, or he didn't want anybody on Machinima to know that he didn't have a Google AdSense account, that he'd already been banned from their system. And he thought, well, they won't take me if they know I've been banned. And maybe that's the reason why he never said anything. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just trying to cover my bases.
I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, I'm working. I've got other ideas in my head. I've got stuff bouncing around. By no means, like I said, am I giving up. I'm being very positive here. I really think I can make it work, considering the amazing fan feedback I've gotten for the past 2.5 months. I really have a positive feeling that this is going to work. And I think I think there's massive potential here to make it happen. I think it's just a means now of getting the people who used to only follow me on YouTube, and it was easy for them because they use YouTube already, and getting them to understand how Blip TV works and converting those people over to Blip TV, at least to see the stuff ahead of time, you know? I mean, that's a massive advantage. You know, you get to see my videos 2 days ahead of time of everyone else that just wants to wait and we'll basically be lazy just to see them on YouTube.
See that response there? It's almost like he caught himself like, holy shit, I probably shouldn't have said that. And whatnot. But that mentality of, oh, if you guys won't do what I want, you're lazy. You're lazy. You know what I'm saying? You're useless to me if you guys won't do what I want. He's had that. This was way before Pokemon Sun and Moon. He's been like that. He's been a piece of shit like that.
Yeah, so I think that's enough incentive to go over there.
It's not, but let me bring this part back. Massive piece of shit.
I've gotten for the past 2.5 months. I really have a positive feeling that this is going to work. And you know, I think there's massive potential here to make it happen. I think it's just a means now of getting the people who used to only follow me on YouTube, and it was easy for them because they use YouTube already, and getting them to understand how Blip TV works and converting those people over to Blip TV, at least to see the stuff ahead of time, you know? I mean, that's a massive advantage. You know, you get to see my videos 2 days ahead of time of everyone else that just wants to wait and we'll basically be lazy just to see them on YouTube. Yeah, so I think that's enough incentive to go over there. So we'll see what happens. Give me feedback. Let me know what's going on with that website.
Okay, now this is where we go on a bit of a field trip. So you give me just a second. I'll bring you guys in. Okay, we are back. So let's go ahead and throw this here. And then this right here should be it. Ah, yes. There we go. It's not perfectly lined up though. But all right, so we're here. This will do for now for what our purposes are. Yeah, this will do for now, I suppose. All right, so we're here with DSP tries a Memology 101. DSP talks about John, Rambo, Howard, fans derailing the stream and the history of ScrewAttack. Silly ass shit. This is old. You got to go into the archives to find this shit. But this right here is from December 19th of 2021 when he spoke about this. And I kind of want to speak on this too. I've already done a variation of this, but this might be good, where DSP talks about John and whatnot. I'll save it for a stream. Okay, so all right. Okay, we're good. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh shit, my bad. I just caught that. My fault. My bad. I literally just caught that. So let me take this back.
Internet starting on.
If this doesn't get edited out, you don't have to worry about it. Let me put this beg in here, actually, just for the sake of it. Just for the sake of it. All right, sorry about that, guys. You should be able to hear this now.
A little more, being that less than a cut is taken out of a tip that I get more of a tip than any other contribution, and I get tips right away to help me pay bills. Quick reminder.
Oh, wait. I remember this. Oh, this is good. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. That's a great screenshot, actually. All right, we're going to start from here. We're going to start from here.
Yeah. Or not. I don't know. Obviously, I would love to do the retrospective marathon event with all of you in January if we hit the goal, but I'm not budging on the goal. The goal is the goal. We're trying to create natural growth here on DSP Gaming. And I've already explained to you the many benefits of being a member, and over 300 people agree the benefits are good. So, obviously, there's a reason to become a member. If I can't convince you, then I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do at this point. Might have to go back to the drawing board. If I failed, I guess I failed.
Remember when the tips goal was only $50 though? Oh man, wild ass shit, bro. Wild ass shit.
This month, to provide good incentive for you to become a member, which sucks. I felt like I gave you quality reasons to become a member, but if I didn't, I apologize. And I guess I'll just have to go back to the drawing board in January. But please consider becoming a channel member. It would be great if we could have a rallying for the last 1.5 to 2 weeks of this month and see if we can hit this by the end of December. But at this point, it's it's kind of hard to be positive about it. It's a big uphill climb. Let's put it that way. Okay. Okay. Last but not least, if you contribute today, I'll give you a shout out. As you guys know, everything helps the channel, whether it's a membership, a super chat, a super sticker, or a tip. But because tips help the channel a little more, being that less.
Yeah, keep in mind, that's why we were only counting tips back in those days. We weren't counting all the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he was ripping people off. Well, you guys already know, some preachers of the choir. But he was ripping people off back in those days, boy. Funny shit.
Of a cut is taken out of a tip that I get more of a tip than any other contribution, and I get tips right away to help me pay bills. Quick reminder, because a lot of people seem to be joining the stream, you know, in the last game. Please, if you want to help me out the most tonight, please tip me. I really need the help with tips right now. Things are not good with me financially. They're really fucking bad for the next 10 days till I get paid by Twitch. And any
we'll see how this next stream I do go. It might be a long one, because I had found some jewels, boy. Some of the older stuff from like 2020 and 2021. So I'll just add that to what I already have on the docket. It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Tips that you guys contribute in the next 10 days are going straight to fucking bills, so that I don't go crazy overdrafting my account or getting bills unpaid, which would not be good. So please, please, please. So ladies and gentlemen, I get asked this question all the time. Phil, what is it that inspired you to be a content creator? Because you've been doing this for a very long time. 13 years you've been a content creator on the internet, starting on YouTube way back when.
10 years, all right? 10 years of me being a content creator for the internet.
You're one of the most prolific content creators on the internet, and you've been through hell and back, yet you're still here, right? Well, just curious, what kind of inspired you to be a content creator to begin with?
He's more notorious than prolific. Like, you know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, he's really more notorious. He don't want to acknowledge that, though, but that's the truth of it.
Did you have any content creators you watched and or, you know, followed or were interested in back in the day?
Now, wait a second. I want you to think about this, too, because you remember how he says, oh, when I started, there was no user's manual, right? I had to just go ahead and I had to shoot from the hip. You know what I'm saying? There was nobody I could watch who had pioneered what I was doing for me to know what the do's and don'ts of the road was. Well, I don't know. Now we gotta actually think about that a little bit more.
And I always answer the same thing. I say, yeah, there were two content creators back in the day, and we're talking like the years 2006 through like 2008, essentially, that I was heavily inspired by and or influenced by, okay? The Angry Video Game Nerd and the Nostalgia Critic. At that time, those guys were becoming very popular on the internet with little to no but
good monkey. Anyway, ironically enough, the reason why I paused it there, not only for the fact it's a good screenshot, but also he's the reason why he got that bald spot there. You keep digging at it. He used to do that a lot. I don't do it so much now, but boy, he used to pick at it and dig at it like that, and he fucked himself all up. Womp womp.
budget and production value. They had no money behind the crap that they were putting out. It was very guerrilla style. A camera pointed at them, talking to a camera, bad lighting, little skits interjected into the stuff they were doing, very primitive special effects. But these guys...
But they were entertaining them. So people could you know, given the time or whatever, it is what it was. But at the end of the day, it was entertaining. DSP took, they got a garbage setup, but people still like them, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. That's why he says, remember how YouTube used to be, you know, YouTube used to broadcast yourself or whatever, and he thought he could just throw whatever slop he wanted to online and people were going to be receptive to it, because the two people that he was inspired by, he looked at what they did as just slop and they got away with it, so why couldn't he?
Proved back then, and I'm not talking about their current day product, back then they showed that you can be someone who has no backing, no investment, right? No money, nothing, just talent. You're funny and you're a hard worker, and you can actually put out entertaining content that will be successful on the internet.
He's missing the point that when the money started to come in and the opportunity to collab with people and other things like that to better the product, they jumped on that and did it. That was like natural progression. He never did that. Not until he was forced to, and by then he was still already behind the eight ball. And just kind of stayed back there. He's forgetting that part. Remember, or well, keep this in mind. This is 2021 that we're watching right now.
When I actually saw these two guys making content, it inspired me because people had always told me that I was a funny guy. You gotta be kidding me! You gotta be kidding! There's actually another group.
You know, funny enough, Foodie Beauty says the same shit. She said, like, if you can find her earlier shit, you can go to one of the clip channels. But on her earlier clip channel shit, or on her earlier stuff, she used to say that the reason why she started doing YouTube is because she used to go to parties and different types of events, and people thought she was actually kind of funny. And they thought that she was really good at telling stories and this, that, and the third, and that's why she started doing all her bullshit. Now, obviously, that chick's not funny at all. She's disgusting, actually. That chick is horrible. Like, in the current day and age, she was giving out cheese. I want to tell you they were cheese croissant sandwiches. There might have been some type of meat in there. But first off, the croissants were literally a day from expiring. And which doesn't really mean much. If you store that shit properly, you can still finish it off before it starts to go, starts to get hard on you. But anyway, she was giving out basically expired croissants. The cheese that she was using as she was putting the sandwiches together, which she wasn't washing her hands, by the way, she would eat a piece, she would put a piece in the sandwich. She would eat a piece, she would put a piece in the sandwich. And then who knows what she was using her fucking hands or her fingers or trotters to dig into while she was doing that. It's nasty work, bro. It's nasty work what she did to those people. And she only did it that way because they were homeless. And she thought she could get away with it. Well, she did get away with it. So just imagine that shit. Fucking crazy. And then got mad when people called her out on it.
That inspired me back in the day that I almost never talk about because they don't exist anymore. And this is a group that I actually have a little bit of history with over the years. I had a bigger association with them in my early days as a content creator, and then over the years basically did my own thing. I am talking about ScrewAttack or ScrewAttack.com, okay, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yet again, what are the companies that, we think that he may have reached out to, or at least Logan K did, and I firmly am on belief with that, or in line with that, I should say. That does make a lot of sense. And yet again, I still think that Blistered Thumb has never reached out to him. I think he reached out to them and whatnot. They just never, either they may have said, hey, we'll get back to you, we might be interested, or someone at Blip basically reached out to them and being like, yeah, you know what, that guy's already on the way out the door. Don't even bother with that. Don't even bother with that. You know what I'm saying? And I just couldn't see Lord Katz or any of them guys wanting to deal with him. But in an alternative universe, what would that have looked like? DSP being up there with like Spoonie One and Angry Joe and all them cats. Like, what kind of, for however brief it was, how would that look? Something to think about. Might make a good what if episode.
You can't find them. They were sold off, assimilated into other corporate entities over the years. But back in the day before I was a content creator, ScrewAttack was an independent gaming group of people who were passionate about video games.
Now, I want you to pay attention to this, because think about how mad he was when he came to the realization that Stuttering Craig and Side Scrollers has slighted him. And they were like, they used to be about games, and now they're getting into bullshit politics, and they're not what they used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can already see how he tried to romanticize what they were. Not nostalgia. He was literally romanticizing that shit. He was constructing something and made it and gave it more emphasis than it needed to be. And that goes to my whole to my thoughts on how parasocial he was as it pertains to Stuttering Craig and ScrewAttack. Which is some wild shit if you think about it.
Over the years. But back in the day before I was a content creator, ScrewAttack was an independent.
You're gonna talk shit about fucking LTG's camera in the modern day and you were running around with this bullshit? That's crazy.
Gaming group of people who were passionate about video games and made daily videos about them. Before the era of live streaming, these guys were putting out content regularly that was very entertaining. It was daily news shows like Hard News, where they covered gaming news every day, okay? Skits and comedy bits that they put out that were all gaming related. Full-length, in-depth game reviews.
All things that he stole later. You guys seeing what you guys picking up what I'm putting down? You know what I'm saying? So initially, the video should already be out, where I said that DSP sat there and stole from fucking Nostalgia Critic and Angry Video Game Nerd, which he did, and Howard Stern, which he did. But he was stealing from Stuttering Craig too. He was stealing from everything moving. Everything moving that he thought he could take, he did.
Okay? We're putting out content regularly that was very entertaining. It was daily news shows like Hard News, where they covered gaming news every day. Okay? Skits and comedy bits that they put out that were all gaming related. Full-length, in-depth game reviews. Okay? They were one of the earlier groups that did that kind of stuff. My association with ScrewAttack is interesting because I actually was a fan of theirs before I ever made a piece of content for the internet. I went to MagFest 2007, and I've talked about this over the years, even though I rarely talk about it now. When people say, Phil, did you ever go on a trip that was like gaming related, but it was...
See this hand pose? I've pointed this out before, but I'm going to keep doing it every time I see it. He loves this hand pose. Like, he loves that shit. I don't know why, but he loves doing this shit. I'm going to keep pointing it out every time I see him do it.
just for like relaxation, not a trip where you were a content creator or an internet celebrity and shit like that, but maybe you just went somewhere and had a good time. And the answer is yeah. You want to know the one trip I ever went on where I didn't make a piece of content at all, but I had a great time, was MagFest 2007. Okay? That was a gaming convention in the early days of MagFest. Now MagFest still exists and grew in prominence over the years, and actually since then now it shrunk again. Apparently it fell out of prominence at some point. I don't know why, but basically back then it was the grassroots kind of a deal, much like I had always been part of the grassroots Street Fighter community.
And this makes me think that he was going to try to buy in or get in there, I should say, because he ain't buying shit. He was going to try to get in even back then. I don't see DSP just going to MagFest just to do it. He went out there for a reason. He went out there for a reason. And DSP likes to glorify that 2007, 2008 years where he was like on his way out of the FGC and coming into YouTube. And it makes me think, it's starting to make me think, were you trying to sell yourself as some type of guru as it pertains to the FGC and try to get yourself established with fucking Stuttering Craig and ScrewAttack? Is that what you were trying to pull? I don't know. I'm asking for a friend.
Well, they were kind of a grassroots kind of a deal when it came to gaming conventions. So I remember going to this ScrewAttack gaming convention, MagFest gaming convention in 2007. And there was an arcade where you could play classic arcade games. I played Hyper Fighting there in person against a bunch of people. There was a console tournament, and I played in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike console tournament. There was all these panels and things going on. There was actual other events. And the guys from ScrewAttack were there and said, hey, if you're a fan of us, come hang out. And I was one of the main guys who came and hang out with them all weekend.
You latched onto them for a weekend. Jesus Christ. You ain't latched onto them for a weekend like a stalker. Says a lot, Phil. It says a lot.
And at the time, no one knew who Darkside Phil was except for fighting game players because I hadn't made any content yet for YouTube. And I had a great time hanging out with them. This was actually before the falling out of Craig and Tom. So they were both there together, hanging out, having a good time. And there was actually a tournament, a Call of Duty Modern Warfare tournament, all right, held at the event. And I joined Team ScrewAttack despite the fact that I had no experience in a competitive shooter. We got second place in the tournament. Pretty good. The only other people who beat us were an actual group of players who played competitively together. They beat us. Outside of that, we just came together and got second place.
Yeah, I was romanticizing that shit. That's just icky, boy. That shit is icky. So when you see these dits having a parasocial relationship or trying to establish one with DSP, which he's established, he's doing it too because he wants their money and they want his acknowledgement and shit and recognition, I should say, in a lot of ways too. DSP has been exhibited that behavior. You know what I'm saying? He's been exhibited that behavior. Or exhibiting that behavior, I should say.
Okay. Basically what happened was when I started doing my own content on the internet, I fell off from following all the stuff that I used to follow for a couple of reasons. First of all,
because he had tunnel vision. That's the one reason. He had tunnel vision and shit, and he can't fucking focus on multiple things at once. Two, I guess one could make the argument that he tried not to do anything too close to what they were doing, so he wouldn't be biting their style, blow for blow, you know what I'm saying, bar for bar, flow for flow.
I felt like if I kept watching...
No, is it flow for flow, word for word, bar for bar? Something like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, everybody's heard the Soldier Boy meme.
Video game nerd, or the nostalgia critic, or ScrewAttack, that I would, sadly, I hate to say this, I would be influenced by them, and the last thing I wanted to do was, whether consciously or subconsciously, start biting ideas, He
low-key's admitting that he stole their shit. That's good shit. That's good shit.
Stuff that I used to follow for a couple of reasons. First of all, I felt like if I kept watching the Angry Video Game Nerd, or the nostalgia critic, or ScrewAttack, that I would, sadly, I hate to say this, I would be influenced by them, and the last thing I wanted to do...
You just said that you were influenced by them.
...was, whether consciously or subconsciously, start biting ideas, start biting mannerisms and things from other content creators at the time.
Which is what you did. And that is not only mannerisms from them, but he bit mannerisms from John, Howard, Panda, hell, even Cat. Like I said, this guy is a fucking sponge. Like, he's not a person. You know what I'm saying? He's a parasite. He's cancer. And he just takes on the form of the people that are around him.
I kind of wanted to isolate myself and do my own thing. And that way I could be popular for the sake of ideas that I had. Rather than, oh, well, I saw ScrewAttack do this thing, so I kind of going to bite off of that and do a variation or copy it. Or,
but you didn't mind doing that with Howard Stern. Like, oh, shit. He's never going to want to get into a debate with a detractor. That's just never going to be a thing. Holy fuck.
Oh, you know, the Angry Video Game Nerd says this in his videos all the time, so now I start saying it inadvertently. Because people even said back then, Phil, a lot of the things you say in your videos sound like the Angry Video Game Nerd.
So you did bite they shit. You did bite they shit. I mean, he was already admitting it, so it is what it was. But he did bite they bullshit. Crazy, son.
You're right. I was heavily influenced by him, so I was saying things in my videos that sounded like him. Okay? All that being said, okay?
Oh, that's back when he was drinking his little flavored water and shit. That's funny. It's funny, too, because he says he don't drink soda anymore, right? But yet, we don't see the flavored sparkling water anymore. That's... I mean, unless it's in his little fucking thermos mixed with gin. Which it could be now, I think about it. That's why he keeps smacking his goddamn lips like he does. For water, no less.
When I became a content creator in 2008, I basically shut myself off to all of it. I stopped following all of it. And
but you still stole their shit, though. You're still biting their bullshit, though. So it don't matter.
And literally, it was like dead stop. It wasn't like, oh, I still follow here. Dead stop.
That's interesting, too, about what he's saying there with dead stop, because Jeremy, or Quarter Pounder, he actually says that, too, when he was trying to get his drinking under control, where he said that he stopped drinking dead stop. Actually, if you really pay attention, there's a lot of things that fucking Quarter Pounder says that DSP has said. And it's really, really interesting.
Off to all of it. I stopped following all of it. And literally, it was like dead stop. It wasn't like, oh, I still follow here. Dead stop. I just need a release. What? What's wrong? And I was a huge fan of the AVGN. I loved all of his videos. I had them all archived. I used to have a Zune, a Microsoft Zune, that I put all his videos on, and I would watch them constantly as entertainment. If I was traveling to a Street Fighter tournament or, you know, whatever. You know, I watched them constantly. I thought they were funny. They were inspirational.
Where's your friends at, bruh? Oh, holy shit. Where's your fucking friends at?
What? What's wrong? And I was a huge fan of the AVGN. I loved all of his videos. I had them all archived. I used to have a Zune, a Microsoft Zune, that I put all his videos on, and I would watch them constantly as entertainment. If I was traveling to a Street Fighter tournament or, you know, whatever. You know, I would watch them constantly. I thought they were funny. They were inspirational to me. Here was my schedule.
Wow.
Wake up, go to my office job. Come home from my office job, play games for 2-3 hours a night, upload, follow those videos, read the comments, interact with my audience.
Ban. Gone forever. Well, not even banning. You blocked people back in those days.
go to work the next day. That was my life. And then,
Let's not forget about all the drinking.
you know, when I lost my job in late 2010, it was work, 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 work. Every day, play through every game as quickly as possible. Upload the videos, upload the videos, upload the videos. And quite frankly, there was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of things that were lost at that time. I felt like friendships fell off. You know, and
You mean when you lied to your friends saying that you offered another group of people money to keep Project 7 going and you really didn't? You mean like that? When we weren't paying Howard at all. OJ wasn't getting no money. You know what I'm saying? Fucking John wasn't even getting his full cut. All right.
a lot of negative things happened over the years when I basically became a workaholic. I didn't have a work-life balance. It was just work. My life was work. My life was putting out video content on YouTube. And to a lot of extent, I feel like a lot of the problems that happened to me over the years with personal relationships, for example, John, Rambo, and Howard. For me,
John was never, or not John, sorry. You said Howard was never your friend anyway. He was just an associate until you guilt tripped him as as DSP was leaving Connecticut to move to Washington. He was just an associate. That's what DSP said. But then he guilt tripped Howard to come by and finish a playthrough that they were doing together. And if Howard wouldn't show up, they were never friends. And Howard was like, all right, man. Hey, I know he was talking to his girlfriend. And he was like, yo, I have to do this thing with, Phil real fast. He's leaving. Let me just finish this one playthrough with him and, get it over with. But then years later, DSP is like, he was never friends with him anyway. He was just an associate. Think of that what you will.
when I hung out with those guys and made content, that was fun. That was actually my relaxing time, because to me, that was me not having to sit around in my own room, talk to myself all day playing games.
Oh, wow. We're sick, little monkey. We were sick. Great screenshot, by the way. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. No wonder you're so desperate to keep John around. No wonder you were so tolerant of keeping Howard around, because keeping Howard around was the only way to keep John around. Yikes, son. I don't think I ever went over the whole DSP reacting to the John and Howard shit. I need to do that. I'll try to put that on the list for this year. But yikes, Philip. Yikes, Philip.
I feel like a lot of the problems that happened to me over the years with personal relationships, for example, John, Rambo, and Howard. For me, when I hung out with those guys and made content, that was fun.
No, you were using them for content. He wasn't making content with them. He was using them for content. That's the reality of it. And it's really sick that he couldn't tell the difference. Maybe he didn't want to.
That was actually my relaxing time, because to me,
So because you had 2 employees to do the heavy lifting? Okay, fair enough.
that was me not having to sit around in my own room, talk to myself all day playing games.
Wow. Super fucking lonely as shit. God damn, Phil.
When I did a video game playthrough and I talked to myself on camera to entertain you guys, that felt like work. When I was hanging out with those guys and just shooting the shit and doing commentary with them when we either played games or just went on trips or whatever, that was fun to me. That was actually like my fun interaction with my friends.
That's so fucked up. He's literally saying, I use them to make myself feel like less of a loser. Yikes. Now that I think about, yeah, I'm definitely going to start going over old shit on stream. I usually do anyway, but whatever. I'm definitely doing that. That's a yikes type moment there, son. That's ugly. That's ugly as shit. And it's so blatant too. That's the thing. It's so blatant.
They didn't see it that way, though. Over the years, what ended up happening was they saw, like, every time I wanted to hang out with them, all I wanted to do was put out content, work, work, work.
Which is true. You just admitted it.
To make money, when in reality, it couldn't be further from the truth, but that's how they saw it.
Fuck you. All right, we're bringing this whole back. We're bringing this whole thing back. Fuck you.
You know, and a lot of negative things happened over the years when I basically became a workaholic. I didn't have a work-life balance. It was just work. My life was work. My life was putting out video content on YouTube. And to a lot of extent, I feel like a lot of the problems that happened to me over the years with personal relationships, for example, John, Rambo, and Howard. For me, when I hung out with those guys and made content, that was fun. That was actually my relaxing time, because to me, that was me not having to sit around in my own room, talk to myself all day playing games. When I did a video game playthrough and I talked to myself on camera to entertain you guys, that felt like work. When I was hanging out with those guys and just shooting the shit and doing commentary with them when we either played games or just went on trips or whatever, that was fun to me. That was actually like my fun interaction with my friends.
He never thought about what it was for them. So he's sitting there demonizing them, making it seem like they're the one with the problem. I don't understand what's going on. I'm having a great time. So what's the issue? Oh, Panda was mad because she wasn't satisfied? That's not my fault. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I busted early. She busted late. So whose problem is that? Yikes. What an irredeemable piece of shit.
They didn't see it that way, though. Over the years, what ended up happening was they saw, like, every time I wanted to hang out with them, all I wanted to do was put out content, work to make money, when in reality, it couldn't be further from the truth, but that's how they saw it, because I was a workaholic. Like, everything I did, I could make a video out of, right? So because of that, make a video, and it ended up turning off people, you know? I attended a gaming convention in Philadelphia called Too Many Games, and I was one of the featured guests at this event, along with the Angry Video Game Nerd. Now, this was at the height of my prominence. I was very popular on YouTube at the time, so there were lots of people who actually came to the convention to see me, which was shocking to me because I'm like, I'm just a moron on the internet dicking around. Why would anyone want to travel to come meet me? I don't know. But they did. They lined up. There was a panel that was very packed to the brim with people. I was very pleased with how it went. And the Angry Video Game Nerd definitely was the most prominent guy there, and he had a ginormous following, and I was kind of like the rinky-dink secondary guy. But I remember him being there, and I just kind of said hello casually to him, and we didn't even have a conversation. You know, he wasn't there nearly as much as me. I was there all weekend. He was only there like 2 days for a few hours. And that was it. That's like the only direct interaction I ever had with the Angry Video Game Nerd was we were at the same convention together as guests, and I said hello to him one day. We were actually our tables were right next to each other.
So now, based off that, right? Based off that, who actually approached who about blistered thumbs? Did Lord? I don't see Lord Cat doing that. I mean, he could have. It's possible, but I doubt that. I'm really doubting that Lord Cat would have been like, yeah, let's see if Darkside Phil wants to join blistered thumbs. Nah, B. I think DSP was trying to beg them to get him to get a job. That's what I'm thinking. Them, ScrewAttack, and whoever else that would take him. Okay.
Excuse me. The only other interaction I ever had with the guys at ScrewAttack, this was many years later. So Craig and Tom had the falling out. Tom had branched off, did his own thing, and basically retired it. Within a few years, he was out of content creation. Craig kept going with ScrewAttack, and ScrewAttack got way more prominent. For example, they brought in talents like Pro Jared, who ended up being a very big talent on the internet.
And you could tell DSP was jealous of him, hence the reason why he was the gouty viper and couldn't wait to attack his ass when fucking Pro Jared announced his fucking divorce on Twitter. Like, that's a smart idea.
Got his own following or whatever. In addition to that, Death Battle, a show that just was one of the things in their repertoire, ended up blowing up on the internet and becoming a very popular internet piece of content that everyone followed. A lot of people didn't even know what ScrewAttack was, but they knew what Death Battle was. Okay? So the only other interaction that I had with the ScrewAttack guys was many years later. ScrewAttack Gaming Convention went down in 2013, and I traveled to Texas, and I was actually one of the featured guests at ScrewAttack Gaming Convention, which didn't make much sense because I didn't have any association with ScrewAttack anymore. It was funny because I remember when Craig, I had lots of behind-the-scenes interaction with Craig, a lot of discussions and stuff about being an original fan of ScrewAttack. They were called G1s. If you were a fan of ScrewAttack back in the day, you were a G1. And I had a lot of interaction with him. I was like, dude, remember when we hung out in 2007? We had a great time at MagFest before I ever put out a piece of content. And look what's happened to me in the last 5 years. I went on to become a prominent content creator on YouTube, and I would love to come to your event and, you know, have a panel and chill with you guys. I know you're doing the Iron Man of gaming.
So how are you going to say you were surprised that you were a featured guest when you're literally saying here that you basically asked to be a featured guest? The fuck?
At ScrewAttack Gaming Convention, which didn't make much sense.
Let's hear this again.
ScrewAttack was, but they knew what Death Battle was. Okay? So the only other interaction that I had with the ScrewAttack guys was many years later. ScrewAttack Gaming Convention went down in 2013, and I traveled to Texas, and I was actually one of the featured guests at ScrewAttack Gaming Convention, which didn't make much sense because I didn't have any association with ScrewAttack anymore.
You literally asked them if you could have a panel. Whatever. What? That's fucking crazy. That's crazy how fluently you can lie like that.
It was funny because I remember when Craig, I had lots of behind the scenes interaction with Craig, a lot of discussions and stuff about being an original fan of ScrewAttack. They were called G1s. If you were a fan of ScrewAttack back in the day, you were a G1. And I had a lot of interaction with him. I was like, dude, remember when we hung out in 2007? We had a great time at MagFest before I ever put out a piece of content. And look what's happened to me in the last 5 years. I went on to become a prominent content creator on YouTube, and I would love to come to your event and, you know, have a panel and chill with you guys. I know you're doing the...
I was a featured guest at their event. I don't know why, because I have no association with ScrewAttack. Then, literally seconds later, oh yeah, I've been talking to Craig behind the scenes for a long ass time, and I basically begged him to let me have a panel and hang out with them all weekend. Oh, never change, Phil. Never change.
Iron Man of Gaming tournament. I would love to be a part of that. And after having some really nice conversations with him over a course of a few weeks, he agreed to have me as a featured guest at ScrewAttack Gaming Convention 2013, which actually shocked me because I knew no one there was going to know who I was.
You literally begged for him to allow you to be a featured guest, Phil. Oh, you thought your begging wasn't going to work? You didn't think you could get him under the pignosis? All right.
I wasn't a part of ScrewAttack for many years. I hadn't been in their content since like 2007, 2008. So how would anyone who had been following them in those years know who I was? And the answer is...
It didn't matter. Here's the thing. I kind of like this because you got two people using each other. DSP was trying to get exposure over there to prop himself up. Stuttering Craig was basically using whatever little following DSP had to go ahead and add to his fucking... to his hordes. So you had two people basically agreeing to use each other. And DSP was like, well, I don't understand. I was the one that was supposed to benefit. Not him. I don't understand what he's supposed to be getting out of the deal. Wow, bro. Yikes. Yikes.
No one did. When I showed up, the people who showed up for me were fans of me, but knew nothing about ScrewAttack, and the people who were there for ScrewAttack knew nothing of me. It was like completely separated, right?
That's called a crossover, Phil. That's kind of the point. You're looking for cross-pollination. You know what I'm saying? Not every deal is one-sided. And that's basically what he's saying. He was expecting it to be like a one-sided deal, but since none of them had any exposure to him because they didn't watch Slop and whatnot, he didn't see how he was really going to benefit from this deal. But he literally begged Craig to go out there. He begged to be on a panel. He begged to hang out with them all weekend, under the pretense of being able to poach people off of his audience. All right, man.
Interesting. By the way, I ended up being a finalist in the Iron Man of Gaming. Made it to the finals. Was on stage playing, at that time, the HD remake of DuckTales, which was a new game coming out that year, and I played it ahead of time and stuff like that. It was a fun time. It was a good time going to that convention. And Craig, the only interactions I've ever had with Craig, he went by Stuttering Craig on the internet, by the way. That's his like internet moniker, Stuttering Craig, even though he doesn't stutter. I think that's the running joke. Seriously the nicest guy. And I don't have a negative thing to say about the guy. When I met him in 2007, he was the nicest possible guy. He actually got me interested in part of the content that they put out for ScrewAttack. He didn't have to do that. And he was like, oh, I'll get you in on videos. I'll let you be part of the panel judging a rock band concert. I'll let you join our team for Modern Warfare. I was like, this is awesome. This guy's cool, man. He's a really nice guy.
He probably is. But it also kind of just shows what kind of a lonely loser that you were. That's what that is. It sounds like what I've been trying to tell y'all. He's desperate to belong. You know what I'm saying? He's desperate to be involved in shit because he's lonely. He doesn't have anything to him. Even with John, Howard, and Panda, he was still lonely. You know what I mean? It wasn't enough. It'll never be enough. You know what I'm saying? So when you go back to look at the Kino Casino Discord leaks, it explains a lot. And like I said, this ongoing one-sided hatred against Stuttering Craig, it explains a lot. Damn shame. Damn shame.
And then years later, with literally no involvement with this guy, just reminiscing with him about, you know, being an old school G1, okay? He lets me into his gaming convention as a featured guest.
You literally caked on and convinced him that he was there from the beginning and shit, and you were a long-term fan of G1. You literally sold him on your investment in him and in his content. And yet you're going to sit here and try to tell people that you were surprised that he was going to give you some type of preferential treatment, even though you were, for good or bad, a known person on YouTube. He can't believe people are this stupid. He probably does. He probably does.
Tell me that's not one of the nicest guys you ever met, right? And by the way, he was nothing but nice the entire time. He set me up with a vendor table. He set me up with all kinds of stuff going on. He was just the nicest dude. Seriously. So I don't know about anyone else who says stuff, because the thing is, over the years you hear, oh, I heard this story, that story. I don't know nothing about that. All I know is...
all you know is he was good to me, so I don't give a fuck about anybody else. You know what I'm saying? That's the same shit that Duty said about fucking Review Tech USA until they finally had their falling out. That, oh, well, Review Tech's always been cool with me, so I don't know what the issue is. Jesus Christ, bro.
He's the nicest guy that I've ever, like, I had interaction with on the internet. Like, one of the most honest, upfront, transparent, nice guys to me. Okay? He actually, back in September, he put out a big video, and he basically is like, I'm moving on. I can't do this anymore. I love making video game content, but it's been 15 years, and I tried my hardest, and it's time for me to move on to bigger and better things for the sake of myself and my family. He basically quit the games industry, and now he has a job completely unrelated to video games. Like, he just flat out left after 15 years being an originator, one of the guys who literally inspired me back in the day to make content by literally just being nice to me. Like, just being nice to me in 2007 at MagFest inspired me to later on make content. You
know how sad that sounds? You know how sad that sounds? Jesus Christ, bro. Because someone had convinced you to be a used car salesman if they were nice to you when you bought your fucking, that Pontiac and shit that was all fucked up? Like, it doesn't seem like it takes much, to be honest with you, which means that you're not much of a person.
see, and I actually am really sad about that, because this guy, I feel, worked his ass off for a very long time, and what happened is the industry changed, right? Look at me. Look how different.
Wow, he's sitting here trying to make it seem like they had real camaraderie. Oh man, that's some wild shit.
I am today than how I was back in the day. The kind of content I used to put out, the kind of content I do now. I'm still enjoying games on a daily basis, but man, is what I do now different than what I used to do.
Yikes, son. All right, that's the end of that. Oh boy, that's some wild work, I gotta tell you. Don't forget your SnortBucks coffee punch cards. Buy 7 get 1 free. Why not? Big ups to Chip. Wild ass work. Okay, so let's kind of hopefully I hit all my points. Like, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully I've done some justice in that. And who knows where this could go later if I delve into it a little further, or other people, to be honest. But I hope I was able to show you kind of like the one-sided parasocial relationship that DSP thought he had with Stuttering Craig. Just because he was nice to him once, and how bad he wanted to be him, he was already ripping off some of his shit he was doing anyway. So now we can add Stuttering Craig onto the list of with Howard Stern, Nostalgia Critic, and Angry Video Game Nerd. So now we can add Stuttering Craig and ScrewAttack up there for a fourth person he was ripping off their shit and trying to sell it as his own. Wild shit, man. Just wild stuff. But yet again, par for the course, to say the very least. Give me just a second. Oh no, what did I do with you? There you go. So anyway, crazy shit. Just absolutely fucking crazy ass shit. Let's drop that. Alright. So anywho, so anyway, ladies and gentlemen, there's my thoughts. Like I said, you guys can let me know what you think and how you feel. Big ups to Logan K and everybody who showed up to the stream. Like I said, I will go back until, like, because I love doing that shit anyway, going back into the old SnortBucks videos, old memology videos, old DSP Tribes memology videos, old Mighty D videos, like all that shit. Go back and watch those things, man. You'd be surprised what you pick up. Be surprised what you learn. And who knows what I'll talk about next. So you never know. You might be right there on the same wavelength. I'll have the link to all 3 of these videos down in the description. Check them all out. And let me know what you guys think, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what you guys think. Just let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on it? And how do you feel about some of the viewpoints that I presented to you and whatnot? Trying to stimulate some thought there. And ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this has been, I'll name the segment later. GTG spits that grease. Take care of yourselves, people. Take care of yourselves. I'll catch you for the next one. Later, people.